As the president of KPI, I welcome you all to this evening's memorable event. That is to celebrate a record-breaking feat of one of our legendary cricketers, Hanif Mohammad, who while playing for Karachi against Bahawalpur in a Qaid-e-Azam Trophy match in January 1959, scored 499 runs before being run out, thus breaking Sir Donald Bradman's 29-year-old record in first-class cricket of 452 for New South Wales against Queensland in 1930. Even Hanif's record and score was overtaken later by West Indian Brian Lara 35 years later, when he made 501 for Warwickshire versus Durham at Edgbaston in 1994. Records are made to be broken, but what we are really proud of is that our own little master, as we know him, created a record at our own very KPI. Hanif Mohammad played a lot of cricket on this ground behind you and was a frequent visitor meeting the Parsi community. In our centenary year in 1993, when Mr. Rohinton Minwala was the president, we invited him to KPI to unveil a plaque, which I'm sure you must have seen, it's over there, on his record-breaking feat, and he readily obliged to visit us and to be photographed standing in front of the plaque. For years, we have been planning to honor this remarkable batting performance in a befitting manner. I know we are late, but at least we are here today at KPI to remember this performance. He was indeed a genius of his time and a world-acclaimed master batsman. We are indeed lucky that Hanif Mohammad achieved this world record at KPI, which makes us Parsis even more proud to celebrate it and invite you all to be part of this historic occasion. The game's history tells us that cricket in the subcontinent was first learned and adopted by the Parsi community. Later, it was picked up by the Hindus and the Muslims. I am not a historian of the game, but at least I know this much of history from my ancestors. The first Indian teams in 1886 and 1888 who toured England consisted of all Parsis, of which 3 players were from Karachi in 1886. Well, my father and my brother, they also played for Pakistan, but I won't go into that because Adil has already told you. And you will know all about this and more about Parsi cricket and cricketers from Qamar Ahmed, a cricket historian, later in the show. Parsi contribution to this glorious game is well documented in the annals of the game. At this time, I need to thank my managing committee who offered me full cooperation and support to organize this evening's event. Thank you, wherever you guys are sitting. I am also indebted and offer extreme gratitude and thanks to Mr. Qamar Ahmed, a professional journalist of the game and commentator of BBC, without whose knowledge and cooperation this event may not have been possible. His connection with world cricketers is mind-boggling. I was Sati. Qamar Ahmed is solely responsible for the video you will be shortly watching on this giant screen. Also, I'll be failing in my duty if I do not appreciate and say a few words for the support and help we received from Dr. Salman Faridi, Medical Director of the LIAQUAT National Hospital, who, when he came to know about our project, immediately got into action to support us as a sponsor of this event. Thank you, Dr. Sir. Thank you very much. We owe him a big thank you and a very, very big round of applause. Thanks, Dr. Faridi himself is a cricket writer and a historian. He will talk to you in a minute once I leave this podium. I'm leaving. Of his interest in our historic event this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all once again for being part of this event and gracing us with your presence. Bless you all.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mavalvala. Am I right in saying this is right now the biggest gathering of the Parsi community in the world? No. At this point in time? No. मैं पीछे सुन रहा था, कोई बोल रहा था ये बात. You really think I came up with this genius point myself? Seriously. डॉक्टर सलमान फरीदी का तारुफ जिक्र आपने अभी सुना और डॉक्टर साहब के बारे में थोड़ा और मैं भी माशाल्लाह I've been really impressed when I read about his very brief bio. Of course मैं इनकी कोई मेडिकल डिग्रीज तो नहीं बताऊंगा और मैं अपने आप को इस काबिल भी नहीं समझता, लेकिन बात चल रही है क्रिकेट की तो डॉक्टर सलमान फरीदी who's going to talk here in a while. He's a cricket writer and a writer on current events. No politics, sir, please. He's a sport aficionado and a part-time poet of English and Urdu. Hosted TV chat show on health for over 5 years. And wow, he has over 7,000 books in his personal collection and library. Dr. Faridi, please.
Thank you, Adil, for that very generous introduction. You know, it's said that history is more than just a leftover from the past. History influences the present and it can shape the future. Today, we meet here on a premises that is steeped in history and in tradition. 130 years ago, in 1893, when the KPI first came into existence, there were only 2 cricket or sport playing facilities in Karachi. One was at the Northwest Railway Club, which was located where Lily Bridge is these days, and that was founded in 1879. And then in 1886, the Karachi Gymkhana and its ground came up, and this was the third. Cricket, as Maju has said, was introduced to the subcontinent by the British, and the first local community that took it up was the Parsi community. And in fact, when cricket first started in Karachi in 1847, the matches were primarily between the Parsi community and British regiments that were posted in Karachi. And as he has said, that the first touring team that went from the Indo-Pak subcontinent went to England for 3 months and consisted exclusively of Parsis. And may I say, it consisted exclusively not only of Parsis, but of very rich and affluent Parsis, because they paid for the entire trip themselves. This is something that the PCB would be marveled at to hear these days and would very much like to reintroduce. So I think for a community that is so richly embedded in cricket folklore and history as far as the subcontinent is concerned, I think it is only appropriate that this ground is perhaps best remembered for a cricketing event. And I think the one occasion that is engraved in the public mind or the nation's psyche is this wonderful innings of 499 that Hanif Mohammad had on the 11th of January 1959 when he broke the world record, as Maju said, established by the legendary Sir Donald Bradman of 452 runs. And Hanif was out, tragically run out on 499 of the penultimate ball of the day due to a misunderstanding while going for his 500th run. And I think when the group discussion takes place, then Qamar Bhai, I'm sure, will elaborate on that. So yes, this is cricket and the Parsi community. Where does LNH come in? Well, as pointed out, I'm a cricket addict. And once the cricket bug has bit you, the effects never leave your bloodstream. So when I first heard that the KPI is thinking of commemorating Hanif's wonderful achievement with an event, I thought, and they're looking for sponsors, so LNH came up. LNH has a history of sponsoring good causes, and in the sports arena as well. 4 years ago, let me, just a small remembrance that Pakistan has done well in amateur snooker of late. And 4 years ago, their team of 4 members was going or selected to represent Pakistan in the amateur world snooker competition in Turkey, and they did not have the money. And LNH sponsored the Pakistani team, which then subsequently became the world champions, and ASIF became individual world champions. So we are happy to be involved in this wonderful event that the KPI has put up. During this, some wonderful memories have been rekindled for me. I schooled in the city in the Karachi Grammar School, and there were 6 Parsis in my class, and those are probably some of the best friends that I had then, and many of their memories still stay with me. Mr. Maju Mavalvala and his team have been absolutely marvelous, and I'm thankful for them for the wonderful interaction and the hospitality that they have shown us. I'm also exceedingly thankful to Mr. Rustam Dara for having made this initial connection between the KPI and the LNH. He serves on our Board of Governors at the LNH, and we've always had members from the Parsi community on our Board of Governors since the inception of the institution in 1958. For those of you who do not know, I'll take a minute and talk about LNH. It is a not-for-profit organization. It is a tertiary care institution with 730 beds, out of which 170 beds are critical care beds. In other words, ICU and HDU beds. And this is the largest critical care facility of any private or government hospital in the city. We are also the only tertiary care hospital in the country, either in the private sector or in the government sector. The only one that does not take donations, that does not take grants, that does not do fundraising. We rely and survive exclusively on patient care generated revenue. We have not a single rupee as donation or grant from either the government or from any private source. We admit over 100,000 patients a year. Our OPD see over 1 million patients a year. Our radiology department diagnoses or sees over 600,000 images. Our lab sees over 1.5 million tests every year. We have an active postgraduate institute along with the hospital where we train 500 postgraduate doctors, produce about 45 fellows every year. We have 5 undergrad institutions, a medical college, a college of nursing, a college of physiotherapy, a college of medical technology, and a college of diagnostic laboratory sciences. So it is an institution that prides itself on being self-sustaining, even to the point that we are perhaps the only place in Karachi where there's no load shedding because we produce our own electricity. So I think we pride ourselves on the fact that we are a hospital for the common man. We do not profess to be, nor do we want to be, a hospital for the rich. We are a hospital for the common man where we think people can get good quality care at affordable rates. But today, it's about cricket. They say that a nation that forgets its past has no future. Without memory, there is no culture. Without remembrance, there is no civilization. A nation, if it wants to progress and develop pride and self-respect in its own existence, has to learn how to appreciate and treasure its own icons and heroes. So today, I think it's appropriate that we are doing that. Don't forget that when Hanif made 499, he was a 24-year-old young man. He batted for 10 hours and 35 minutes on this wicket right behind you. Hit 64 boundaries. And only once did he lift the ball over the bowler's head. All the other strokes were along the ground. And this young man then subsequently went on to achieve so many other records. The match or the innings that he played here was only his 40th first-class innings. And he had already scored 21 centuries before this. So 22 centuries in 40 innings, a record that even the legendary Don Bradman would not have claimed at that point in time. So I will leave you with a parting thought, and I'm so happy to see Sadiq Bhai here and Shoaib and Mrs. Hanif Mohammad. May he rest in peace wherever he is, and may God bless him and give him the highest place by his side. And thank you for being here.
वैसे मैं तो समझ रहा था आप कोई फिल बदी उर्दू में हमें शेर सुनाएंगे हनीफ मोहम्मद साहब के हवाले से। नहीं चलें, अगली बार के लिए हम कहेंगे कि कोई ज़रूर लिख के लाए, because it is written माशाल्लाह, I mean he's a poet in English and Urdu as well, and 7,000 books, inspiring. चलें जी, we have got this giant screen here and we are going to play a video here. It's a sort of a tribute from the legends to the legends. So you will be seeing a lot of legends of international cricket who will be paying the tribute to the gentlemen, remembering whom we are all here. Thank you so much to Qamar Ahmed Saab. It's his effort that he's been able to collect all these visuals. So could you please play the video and let's all enjoy.
When people praise me and say you are a great batsman and your days and all this, so I disagree with them, and I also say that I had nothing much. I had only solid, good concentration, and because of that, I got so many.
Test cricket is a 146-year-old sport. There have been close to 2,500 test matches, and there are incidents in the past that beggars belief at first, but are indeed true. One such event is the superhuman effort put in by the late Hanif Mohammad, known by the sobriquet Little Master, which after defying West Indies of a certain win, ended on this very day in 1958. The occasion is the inception of the Pakistan-West Indies Test rivalry. In the first ever test played between the two nations in Barbados, the home side mounted a mammoth total of 579 before declaring with 1 wicket in hand. In response, Pakistan were bowled out for a paltry 106 around lunch on day 3. The visitors had their backs against the wall, more so because it was a 6-day match, which made their task of saving the game even more stiffer. Having bowled only 42.2 overs to bowl Pakistan out, the West Indies enforced the follow-on. A deficit of 473 runs, 3.5 days to bat. First test in alien conditions at the West Indies. There was a feeling that only one result was possible from there on. However, a certain Hanif Mohammad had some different ideas, based on his unwavering concentration powers. And this is how the scoreboard moved then onwards. Pakistan finished day 3 at 162 for 1, and Mohammad was unbeaten on 61. Hanif batted through the entire day 4, vindicating the trust the skipper had shown in him. He added another 100 to his overnight score, heading back to 161 not out at stumps. And Pakistan had just lost 1 wicket, finishing the day at 339 for 2. Yet again, Hanif batted throughout the day, and Pakistan lost just 1 wicket, finishing the day at 525 for 3, and Pakistan avoided an innings defeat, leading by 52 runs, but West Indies were still favourites to win the test. Hanif Mohammad at this moment in time was 270 not out. Like a true warrior, obedient to his superior in a war, Hanif was unbeaten at tea on day 6 with 334 runs against his name. The fact that he walked back to the dressing room with his skipper Kardar must have made the tea break even more satisfying. He had scored 337, putting Pakistan ahead by 153 runs with less than one session left at the time of his dismissal. Moreover, he had batted 970 minutes, 16 hours and 10 minutes precisely, which to date stands tall as the longest innings in Test cricket history. 65 years on, Hanif's record for the longest Test knock has fittingly stood the test of time. Before him, the record belonged to Len Hutton's 797-minute effort at the Oval in 1938. Since Hanif's 337, the longest Test knock is Gary Kirsten's 878-minute long innings versus England in 1999. But there is no other instance of anyone batting for over 900 minutes in an innings. It is one of the 2 triple tons in the second innings of a Test match, Brendan McCullum's 302 versus India in 2014 being the other. And it is the only triple hundred while following on. VVS Lakshman, remember, came close with his 281 in Kolkata in 2001. And the fact that Hanif Mohammad was just 23 years old at the time of forging that epic makes it more unbelievable for the millennials and the Gen Zs today.
Hi, I'm Sunil Gavaskar. Hanif Mohammad was one of my great heroes. Being an opening batter himself and me being a budding opening batter, I loved to watch him bat. Obviously, we didn't get too many opportunities. There was just one opportunity that I got when Pakistan came to India in 1960. He was batting 120 at overtime. And I went the next day to watch him bat, and he got 160, added another 30 runs. But to see him bat, to see him twirl his bat, and then take stance, and even as he took stance, to see that little twirl was absolutely delightful. I tried to do that, but every time I twirled the bat, my bat would go back to front. So I gave up that twirl. But there was so much to learn from Hanif Saab. To be able to, stay at the wicket, to be able to tire the bowlers out, show patience. It was so much as far as technique was concerned also. He was simply amazing. Later on, in Sharjah, in London, we met a number of times, and it was always a delight to be able to meet Hanif Saab and speak with him. I understand that the Karachi Parsi Institute is celebrating his 499 runs that he got on their ground. I want to congratulate the Karachi Parsi Institute for this initiative, because these kind of scores are very, very rare. Only 2 people have got there. One is Hanif Saab, and after that I think it was Brian Lara who got a 501. So congratulations to the Karachi Parsi Institute for celebrating a legend, a true legend's great legendary achievement. And may you have a wonderful evening. And remember that Hanif Saab was one of the greatest cricketers that the world has seen.
I played against Hanif Mohammad in 1964 in 2 games. The game against South Australia, where he made 100 in his only innings, and then in the Test match at the MCG, where he made 100 and he was out stumped for 93, I think, 94, and given out incorrectly. So I could easily have played against Hanif, scoring a century in every innings. He was a damn fine player. He played all the shots at the MCG. I remember him hooking, playing all the shots, and I then met Sonny Gavaskar in 96 at the World Cup, and he said, pointed to the little guy and he said, "That's the real little master over there," and he was pointing to Hanif Mohammad. A great player. I'm not surprised he made 499, but he must have been out by a long way for a Pakistani umpire to give him run out.
It is indeed a great honor and a pleasure for me to talk about great Hanif Mohammad. He was my captain actually. I still remember very clearly the inning which he played at KPI. He got 499. In fact, I was dropped in that match, so I was asked to do the scoring. So I remember very clearly, and because I was scoring, so I watched every single run he scored. What a great opener he was. I would say that he was a great planner, great concentration, determination. He was a fantastic, complete cricketer that I have come across. I remember way back in 1964 when the Pakistan team went to Australia, first time ever. We played only one test match at Melbourne and we played two side matches. In the only test match which we played at Melbourne, he got 100 in the first inning, and then in the second inning he scored 98 and he was given out when he wasn't out. You know, that was really great pity the way he was given out. And a lot of criticism came the next morning in the newspapers. And he would have created a history actually, you know, scoring 100 in each inning in Australia. And then I remember way back in 1967 at Lord's when he scored 167 runs. I was a part of that team also. So what an inning it was. And then in 1958 actually, when he got 300 at Barbados, you know, I wasn't a part of that team, but I remember that. You know, I don't think you will come across such a great technically batsman. And when he got 499, if you could see his bat, you know, every ball hit the middle of the bat. There were hardly any edges on the bat. That speaks that his technique as a batsman and also with determination, mentally and physically, he was very extremely fit. And you know, I pay a great tribute to this great master.
To give my views on the little master Hanif Mohammad. He was undoubtedly the best batsman Pakistan has ever produced. He started his career as a wicketkeeper for Pakistan and later on as an opening batsman. When I played my first test match at Lord's in 1967, Hanif Mohammad was the captain. He told me that on this wicket the English bowlers will not get him out. And that came true. He scored a magnificent century against John Snow and the English bowlers. The other thing about his greatness was that having been associated with Hanif for a very long time, I never saw him play with the bats. It was always the bat. Undoubtedly, he was the greatest batsman Pakistan has ever produced. And the title given to him as a little master has come true. I hope he gets a place in general. Thank you very much.
Hello, ji, assalamu alaikum. I am Wasim Akram. बड़ा ज़बरदस्त मैच सेलिब्रेट करने जा रहे हैं वन ऑफ द ग्रेटेस्ट प्लेयर पाकिस्तान टीम के द ग्रेट हनीफ मोहम्मद द ओरिजिनल लिटिल मास्टर. मैंने उनके साथ बड़ा टाइम गुजारा है. शुरू में जब क्रिकेट शुरू की शोएब से बड़ी दोस्ती थी और बड़े ज़बरदस्त बंदे भी थे. और ऐसा प्लेयर मेरा मतलब वो टाइम से अहेड थे जब वो क्रिकेट खेलते थे. लंबी इनिंग्स और 499 आप लोग सेलिब्रेट कर रहे हैं. कितने अरसे बाद डेकेड्स बाद रिकॉर्ड तोड़ा ब्रायन लारा ने. तो ये क्वालिटी और क्लास थी हनीफ भाई की. तो आप सबको बहुत बहुत मुबारक एंड ऑल द वेरी बेस्ट. आई एम ग्लैड यू आर सेलिब्रेटिंग दिस अमेजिंग माइलस्टोन एंड ऑफ कोर्स थैंक्स टू क्यू भाई जिन्होंने आपके साथ मिलकर ये ऑर्गेनाइज किया. अनफॉर्चुनेटली आई वोंट बी एबल टू मेक इट. आई एम इन ऑस्ट्रेलिया बट ऑल द वेरी बेस्ट. ग्रेट जॉब वंस अगेन ऑल ऑफ यू.
My congratulations to Karachi Parsi Institute for celebrating Hanif Mohammad's record-breaking 499 runs at KPI. I'm honored to have played with him at test and domestic level. Hanif was no doubt the greatest batsman of our time.
Hello, this is Farouk Engineer. I'm hugely privileged to have been asked to do a little piece, to do a little video for KPI. KPI is very close to my heart, Karachi Parsi Institute. In fact, I didn't realize that Hanif scored that mammoth score on the KPI ground. I was delighted to hear. The Hanif family, the Mohammed family, have been very close to me since I grew up, because when I toured Pakistan under Indian starlets, Lala Manat had taken a team, we played against Pakistan Eaglets, where Mushtaq Mohammed and Hanif's younger brother played. And Mushtaq and my careers have been sort of alongside when he played for Northamptonshire and I played for Lancashire for 10 years. So I mean, the Mohammed family and I have been very close. I was invited for dinner to Mushi and Hanif's house in Karachi, which and the hospitality that I received, especially from the Parsi community there in Karachi, was overwhelming. They almost made me miss my flight on PIA. There happened to be a Parsi captain who delayed the plane by a few minutes to get me in. So Karachi, it was a real shame that the war between India and Pakistan prevented me from going and playing in Pakistan, because I would have loved playing there, and especially so many talented Pakistani cricketers like Zahir Abbas, Asif Masood, and all. We played together for the World 11. Zahir Abbas, in fact, was my roommate when India and Pakistan were fiercely at war. And there was a big picture in the Sydney Times, me sort of twiddling Zahir Abbas, and there was a big headline, India-Pakistan war, big question mark. I mean, which made a mockery of it all, really. So I wish all the Parsis at KPI and everyone in Pakistan, I wish to convey my good wishes for this occasion, for this auspicious occasion. How can you forget an occasion like this when Hanif Mohammad scored all those runs? I mean, he was everybody's idol. Hanif was a class cricketer, a class act. And I'm glad my friend Sunil Gavaskar and Ian Chappell and all have contributed as well towards your event. I wish your event all the success. My warmest regards to the Mohammed family, and I salute KPI once again for having taken the initiative to hold this event. In fact, Parsi cricket, Parsis started the cricket in India initially, and it was the Parsis who first toured England with the Indian, as an Indian team. And it was the Parsis who actually beat the British in India for the first time. And I was privileged to be part of the Parsis as part of the Indian team to have beaten England in 71 for the first time. So the Parsis have contributed a lot in sport, in cricket especially. It's sad to see that there's no other Parsi after me, playing test cricket for India or for Pakistan. I'm sick and tired of hearing my name as the last Parsi to have played. I would love someone to break my record. So come on, Parsis, wake up. I'm sure there's one at the KPI who can emulate Hanif in that big total and make our community proud.
First, we fielded first, and our bowling was bowler bowled well and got them out. And our team batted. Hanif Mohammad was not out 25 on the first day of the game.
Okay, so Hanif is 25 not out at the end of the first day. That's when the world record becomes this possibility. Any special instructions or guidance did you give to Hanif?
No, on that day, I thought this is the time. The ground is very fast. One side is a hockey ground, this side. So if Hanif can stand and concentrate, he can break the world record, because he is already...
Okay, so at the end of the second day, Hanif is on 255 not out, with a rest day to come. So what did you discuss with Hanif at that time?
On the rest day, I was talking to him that now look, this is the time, he is rest day, you are already in the game, you are set, and more concentration, you will get runs. This is time to break the world record.
I think the calculation has started in his mind. What was that now? Because he's 255 not out on the second day, and he's still got 2 days to go. Hello everybody. This is Mushtaq Muhammad from Birmingham, England, talking to you. I have been asked by my very good friend, Mr. Qamar Ahmed, the journalist, who has asked me to share my feelings about the world record my elder brother Hanif Mohammad has created during 1958 at Karachi Parsi Institute, that ground. And I believe you're having some kind of a function today in which this great achievement has to be mentioned, because it was a world record being created by Hanif Mohammad. Actually, it was the brainchild of my other brother, the eldest brother, Wazir Mohammed. He has been thinking about this for the last 2 or 3 days and has been talking to Hanif at home, that how he can go about to create this record 3 days prior to the match, really. And I've listened to all this conversation between my 2 elder brothers, Wazir Mohammed and Hanif. Wazir keeps telling him that Karachi Parsi Institute is a very good ground, got a good wicket, and on one side of the wicket is a grass portion, it's all grass, and the other side of the wicket is a hockey field where they play hockey, and that was clay, and been a lot of sand was on it, was sprinkled on that, and this is how the hockey ground was prepared in those days. So that portion of the ground was the quickest outfield you could ever think of. So bearing that in mind, Wazir has told Hanif that this is the ideal chance for you to go for the world record, and then they start making all the plans about it and how he's going to approach it. And every day when the match started, he did tell him that by the end of the first day, he should be really about 170, 180 not out, and or over 200, and then continue that thing on the next day morning and keep going, using that outfield, the hockey field, to his advantage. And actually, I have also played in that match.
I was fortunate enough to have played under the captaincy of Little Master Hanif Mohammad. And I would say that not only I was fortunate to play under his captaincy, but I was very lucky to have also participated in a partnership batting with him at Lord's in 1967 to save a test match that we were heading towards losing. And that's when I realized what a great batsman Hanif Bhai has been. The way he was tackling the moving ball off the wicket, middling it every time. And that is when I really felt that, there is no doubt whatsoever that his title of Little Master is absolutely deserving.
That was indeed an amazing video, and I think it deserves a round of applause for Qamar Bhai. I mean, single-handedly arranged all these visuals and all these tributes that we have received from all around the world. And I really like the Ian Chappell one. Australian अपनी आदत से नहीं जाएगा. सुना था उसने एंड में क्या बोला था? पाकिस्तानी अंपायर्स पे फेंक दिया, जबकि थोड़ी देर पहले ही उसने बात की थी कि हनीफ मोहम्मद साहब was given stump out, which was incorrect. He could have gone on and scored 2 centuries in the same test match. लेकिन बहरहाल क्या कह सकते हैं? चलें जी, great. Now, अच्छा यहाँ पे I think it is very important that you should welcome one of the gentlemen that you saw in that video, a contemporary of Hanif Mohammad Saab, the great Pakistani wicketkeeper Wasim Bari Saab is here as well. So Wasim Saab, मैं आपके पास, आप वहीं रुकिए, मैं आपके पास आता हूँ. वसीम साहब, पहले तो बहुत शुक्रिया आप तशरीफ़ लाए, और कुछ मेमोरीज थोड़ी सी हनीफ मोहम्मद साहब की, अगर आप इसके अलावा जो आपने बात की कुछ शेयर करना चाहें सर प्लीज़.
मेरा ख्याल सबसे पहले तो मैं ये कहना चाहता हूँ कि हनीफ मोहम्मद played a very important role in my career in cricket, and also Wazir Mohammed, the elder brother of Hanif Mohammad, also spotted me as a young wicketkeeper. I was studying in St. Patrick's College, and Wazir Saab was a selector He came and told me that why are you wasting your time? I've seen the best wicketkeeper in Pakistan in this college. So you please come to the Karachi side and I will take care of you. Hanif Mohammad started his career as a wicketkeeper for Pakistan. Very few people know this. As a wicketkeeper batsman, but then Qadar Sahab said that he should concentrate on his batting and Imtiaz Sahab will keep wickets. Before going on the 1967 tour to England, I was selected as a first-class wicketkeeper, first-choice wicketkeeper, and Hanif Mohammad told me and showed me how to dive. I never could dive as a wicketkeeper before, but he played a very important part and showed me how to learn diving, and that became my strength later on. I think the nation owes a lot to Hanif Bhai. He was a great player, a great batsman, and an institution for all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Waseem Saab. Bahut shukriya. So we are proceeding towards a panel discussion now, and we'll talk about the greatness of Hanif Saab, and of course we'll talk to his family as well, some anecdotes and something for you all to learn more about, not just this inning, but Hanif Mohammad Saab as a person. So it's a very distinguished panel. I'm really looking forward to that, and luckily I'll be the one moderating that. So sabse pehle ji, let's invite his brother Sadiq Mohammad Saab. Sadiq Saab, tashrif laiye please. One of the great Mohammad brothers, played 41 tests for Pakistan, Sadiq Saab. And then of course Hanif Saab's son, played 47 test matches for Pakistan. One of our great openers, Shoaib Mohammad. Ji, please, tashrif laiye aap bhi. All right, Dr. Salman Faridi, you just heard him a while back, but of course, we'll learn some more from his knowledge. And of course, the youngest man in this gathering, very young man, okay, इनकी माशाल्लाह memories से आपको अंदाजा हो जाएगा, काफी दफा जिक्र हो चुका है. कमर अहमद साहब, मैं दरख्वास्त करूंगा, तशरीफ लाइए. He's a cricket writer and broadcaster, former first-class cricketer who played for Sindh in Hyderabad and league cricket in England. He covered 453 tests and 741 ODIs, 9 ICC World Cups out of 12, and he has been a TV commentator for a number of channels, including TV New Zealand, 92 World Cup as well. और बहुत सारी बातें करनी है, ठीक है जी. मैं ऐसा करता हूँ कि हनीफ सबसे यंग आदमी को तो आप देख भी नहीं पा रहे होंगे यहाँ जो लोग बैठे हुए हैं. सो ऐसा करते हैं, इस डाइस को हम यहाँ से हटा देते हैं. अगर कोई वॉलंटियर्स आ जाएं मेरे साथ. I saw Shazer here. He's a bodybuilder, I believe. I mean, he can lift it with his one hand. He's right there. All right. सादिक साहब, आपसे आगाज करते हैं. आपने जो अपना डेब्यू टेस्ट मैच खेला था, वो हनीफ मोहम्मद साहब का आखिरी मैच था जी. तो कहते तो नहीं थे यार तुमने डेब्यू क्यों किया?
नहीं, I think I was really lucky to start my career with a legendary batsman of Pakistan and one of the greatest batsmen and one of the greatest opening person who had so much concentration. And when we were walking out on the field, he just told me that, look, just watch me playing. This is a very difficult wicket. He was good on working out how the pitch was going to play. But because we had so many good spinners, the pitch was prepared in such a way that the game should not have lasted 3-4 days, because the rolling on that pitch was very moderate to nothing, and ball started. Whenever the ball was pitched on it, the pitch actually broke and was dusted in first half an hour. So he just told me that, look, you watch me how I play on this wicket, and then for 2-3 overs I'll take over and play every ball from both the bowlers, and which made it much better. It made my career more solid.
Absolutely, absolutely. Shoaib, of course, it's a matter of great pride. I mean, for any father to see his son play cricket. But let me put it the other way. I'll come to this point as well. But for every child, his father is the ultimate hero, perhaps the first hero of his life. But your father being a hero of the entire nation, I mean, still to date, I mean, you saw the tributes that are coming. I mean, whenever, I mean, Wasim Akram talking about that and all the greats that we know. I mean, does it still give you that shiver in your body when people are talking about your father like this?
Well, to be very honest, I cannot thank God enough to I being part of the Mohammad family, and Hanif Mohammad Sahab, the original little master, as they all say, had been my mentor, and of course being the father figure. And thank goodness for the mobile phones not being there at that time when I was just growing up, and there was only one topic. The hot topic was, the hot gossip was only about cricket. We used to, one can only say, we used to drink, breathe and sleep with cricket, to be very honest. And that's how I, never thought of anything else. And he being always around the corner only, so that helped me a lot. And I wanted to be, to be in his shoes somehow or the other. And in school days, people, our teachers and friends, they used to say, when are you going to break your father's record? So that was a big kick. At the same time, it was a morale booster thing that helped me. That of course I would be playing for Pakistan, but I have to break some records. And actually it happened one fine day, then 32 years earlier, than when I happened to score a double century for the first time. Actually it happened twice. So we were named as the only father and son in the world to score over 200 runs in Test cricket. That was a world record for 32 years. And just recently, last month, Chanderpaul and his son also scored a double century. So they are catching up, but still.
You were the first one. They can't catch that up. Wese, Shoaib saying he scored that double ton 32 years back. You still look like 32-year-old. Mashallah. नहीं mashallah. He's kept himself really well. Shoaib, एक और यहाँ से एक सवाल बनता है. How big a critic Hanif Saab was of your game?
He always stressed that I should train more, and he used to come over to the grounds and watch cricket. There was one time when we were playing a double wicket championship here in Nazambad, and I saw the car from far distance while we were at the field only, and so he would always be there in some way or the other, either in the dressing room or watching me. And but my mother, she's here today, mashallah. She always used to say, look, देखो ये दोपहर इतनी धूप हो रही है, इतना धूप में खेल रहा है, 3 बज रहे हैं, और अभी उस जमाने में 3 बजे बहुत सख्त धूप शायद होती होगी. मैंने रंग काला हो जाएगा इसका, और इस तरह की डैडी कहते थे कि तो कोई बात नहीं ना, तो क्या फ़र्क पड़ता है. तो इस किस्म की. लेकिन एक दफ़ा there was one time when I was punished by Hanif Saab, and that punishment was I should stand in the sun. That was also one way of a sort of a tip or a guidance that I should be familiar with the sun for longer hours.
Right. वैसे if it was left to the mothers of the world, there would have been no sportsmen. और एक तो हर माँ के लिए उसका बेटा काला ना हो जाए, जितना भी काला हो, मेरा बेटा काला ना हो, बस अरे छोड़ दें, seriously. I mean, the world has lost a lot of great players because of these mothers. उनको समझाना पड़ेगा कुछ. चलें जी, okay, नहीं, mothers are so beautiful. You're so lucky to have your mother around. अल्लाह ताला की उम्र दराज करे और मज़ीद. फरीदी साहब, Dr. Faridi. Hanif Mohammad साहब, ज़ाहिर है, we know the first generation of Pakistani cricketers थे. Are we right to say that he was the first real superstar of Pakistan cricket too?
If you look at the history of Pakistan cricket through the 50s and the 60s, Pakistan had 2 or 3 superstars. Hanif was the batting superstar, by far, there was no equal. But there was a bowling superstar called Fazl Mahmood. And I think between Hanif and Fazl, see, Pakistan ka ek record hai. It is the only test playing country in the world that won at least one test in its first series with every country that it played. No other country has ever done this. When it went Pakistan on its first tour of India, 1951-52, Lucknow they won the first test where Nazar carried his bat. 1954, England, Oval they won the Oval test, again Fazl's exploits. And Lucknow test maybe Fazl took 12 wickets. Then the same thing happened when New Zealand came here. When Australia came here, Pakistan won a test each. On their first tour of West Indies, they won a test at Trinidad. So Hanif, yes, one of the legendary superstars, but I think he was superbly aided by Fazl. If you allow me, Adil, Shoaib, आपका जो record है ना, वो चंद्रपॉल फादर एंड सन ने इक्वल कर लिया है, बट एक आपको मैं बताऊं कि एक आपका रिकॉर्ड है जो उन्होंने इक्वल नहीं किया है. There are 3 people in your family who have scored double centuries, Hanif, Mushtaq and you. ये किसी और टेस्ट प्लेइंग फैमिली में नहीं है कि 3 double centuries. So this is a record that even the Chandrapols haven't. और सादिक भाई को मैं बता रहा हूँ जो फर्स्ट इनका मैच था, where he played a test match. This is the 3rd instance in history where 3 brothers have played in a test together. The first instance was the very first test match in world cricket. This was at the Oval in 1880 जब ग्रेस ब्रदर्स थे 3, उसके बाद एक खान ब्रदर्स थे. लेकिन इनके मैच में जो सबसे यूनिक बात है कि 3 भाइयों ने खेला and each of them both batted and bowled in that test match. That has never happened.
Thank you, doctor. Very interesting. कमर भाई से बात करते हैं. अच्छा कमर भाई, आप हनीफ मोहम्मद साहब के साथ you've played cricket with him as well. और अभी हम बात कर रहे थे और आपने कुछ बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग बात बताई थी कि जो कमर भाई का 499 का रिकॉर्ड है, उससे जो पिछली इनिंग उन्होंने खेली थी उसमें आपने एक रोल प्ले किया था. वो क्या था?
I got his wicket.
वाह, he got him out. भाई तालियां बजती हैं. सोचें.
For 8-9 years of first class cricket in 50s and early 60s, I always wished that I could get Hanif Mohammad's wicket. So after 8 years of a struggle, I got him once out. Not my bowling that got him out, actually. He never used to play shots in the air. He was a very single-minded, skillful player with a rock-like defense, uncanny ability to concentrate for a longer period. One thing which struck me as a first-class player playing with him and against him, for the first time as an undergraduate in the 50s, I saw him using light lipstick on his lips and some powder and some cream. So as a young man, I used to wonder why Hanif Bhai using lipstick and powder and cream on his face. But when I grew up and became slightly matured as a cricketer, then I suddenly realized that that was his way of saving his face from ultraviolet rays. Because Australians usually get skin cancer because of the vertical sun beams on their faces in southern hemisphere. In our part of the world, the sun rays comes not directly, not vertically. And that's why we don't get too much skin cancer. So I realized Hanif in those days at a younger age. But Hanif Mohammad, I will not talk about his statistics. I will talk about his power of concentration, his footwork like a ballet dancer. His ability to stay at the wicket for a longer period, because he always played long innings. His defense was absolutely fantastic. And I can tell you that in the centenary test at Lord's, Australia versus England, they were all the greats of the game, past and present, of Australia at Lord's. So after the day's play, there was no Bradman, he did not come. But I met Bradman 3 times in Australia as a reporter. I saw Keith Miller, one of the greatest all-rounder of his time, a fast bowler, and Ray Lindwall, another great of the game, walking out of the Lord's gate. And I knew Keith Miller very well, so I shouted at him, "Keith!" He looked at me and I waved. So he turned towards me, those 2 legendary fast bowlers of Australia. Very tall, one of the most handsome cricketer I've ever seen in my life. Keith Miller, like Fazal Mahmood was, one of the most handsome cricketer that you could come across. And I said to Keith, shook my hand, and I said to Keith and Miller and Ray Lindwall, "Do you realize who is standing next to me?" So they looked at Hanif Mohammad. They said, "Oh my God, the great Hanif!" Hanif was a very modest man and very quiet man. So immediately the Ray Lindwall, the greatest bowler of Yorkers and bouncers, he turned towards me and he said to me, "You know, this man, I could never beat his defense, never could hit him on the bat. He always played with his bat." This was from a great fast bowler. And this great batsman, little Hanif Mohammad, immediately reacted. And he said to Ray Lindwall, "No, you are not right. You hit me once on my bat in the Dhaka test match." So Ray Lindwall said, "Oh my God, you remember that?" He said, "Yes, I do, because only once you hit me on the bat. You could never beat me." आपको मैं बताता हूँ कि I was once in my life, I batted with Hanif Mohammad. It was Sadiq Mohammad's debut. And I got his wicket too.
I knew he would come out with it.
On his debut, I got his wicket. I got wicket of Mustaq Mohammad on his debut as well. But I tell you something. I walked in, I was on Hanif's side, he was on Fazal Mahmood's side. I walked in to bat, the batsman got out and I walked in. And I am facing the greatest fast bowler, Fazal Mahmood. And I'm very excited. The first 2 balls I faced from Fazal Mahmood, I lunged forward and I was beaten, the ball ended in wicket-keeper's gloves. And this great batsman, known as striker and Hanif Mohammad, he rushed towards me and he said to me, "Qamar, look, if you do that again, you will be back in the pavilion. So don't play forward to Fazal Mahmood. Try, take a single and watch me bat against him." So I managed to take a single of Fazal Mahmood. I felt great, I took a single of Fazal Mahmood. And I watched Hanif. The next delivery, Hanif, because he was very quick-footed and great eye reflexes of his eyes, he hit him past backward point for 2. Next delivery, he pulled himself back and hit him for very powerful 4 in the covers for 4. And after the over, he told me, "Did you see how I faced Fazal Mahmood?" I said, "I am astonished at your footwork. You're absolutely fantastic." Hanif had great stories. It take me years to tell all the stories. Every time he came to England, he came to see me. I used to live in England. I lived in London for half a century. That's where I made my career for BBC and Times and Telegraph newspaper. He came to see me once in Shepherd Bush. And as he rang the bell, I opened the door, he walked in. 3 minutes later, the bell rang again. And I opened the door, there were 2 middle-aged, huge, strong-looking West Indians. And they said to me, "Young man,
I was young then.
That's like 150 years back, I believe.
I'm 85 now.
MashaAllah.
He said to me, look, there was a little guy just came out of the car and he walked into this house. Was it Hanif Mohammad? So I said, yes, Hanif Mohammad. So he said, we as undergraduates, school boys in Barbados, we watched him make 337. We have never forgotten the way he walks. So when he came out of this car and came to this house, we thought this is Hanif Mohammad walking. That's why we rang your bell. I said, would you like to meet him? Yes, sir. So I invited these two West Indians inside. I told Hanif bhai, they were young boys when they watched you make 337. So they felt so proud. These two West Indians had their photographs taken. I took my camera out and this and that. Hanif Mohammad, I was very lucky. I used to bowl. I played at KPI a lot of matches against Hanif Mohammad. My misfortune was that the cricket board always used to pit us against a team like Karachi who had 6-7 test players. Hanif Mohammad, Wazir Mohammad, Intakhab Alam, Mushtaq Mohammad, Sadiq Mohammad, Asif Iqbal, Mufassarullah, Mahmood Hussain. And I used to bowl all day Hanif Mohammad. I was a spin bowler and never could beat his bat, very rare. He was such a great, amazing player to watch. I watched his 187 not out at Lord's when he was unbeaten. I had never seen Hanif as an attacking batsman. But that day, he had knee problem and he batted about number 4. And he came in and he immediately started to attack one of the great fast bowlers of England, John Snow, and the spinner Underwood. And he was hitting them all over the place to make 187 to save the test match. But I can tell you that there was an Indian batsman, Dilip Desai, who made double century in test match for India. When I met him and I said to him, who do you think was the best batsman you watched in your time? And you know what he said? A great compliment. He said, look, if there is an 11th floor building, all the great cricketers were on the ground floor. Hanif Mohammad's place is right on top of the 11th floor. One of the greatest batsmen that you can ever imagine. I have a lot of stories to tell about Hanif, but time is short. I just want to say a few words about the Parsis. I came across Parsis a lot as a reporter of BBC. I interviewed a lot of them. Great cricketers, Polly Umbriga, Lucy Suti, Lucy Modi, Nari Contractor, Farooq Engineer. I've met them all. And they all had great words to say about Hanif Mohammad. The Parsis, in 1886, they were the first team to visit England as an Indian team. No Hindu, no Muslim in the team, and same thing happened in 1888. I was, as a reporter, very curious because there were 3 men from Karachi, Kastonji Dastoor, and Dinsha Khambata, and Baroji Bala. Every time I came to Pakistan with the cricket team to cover a tour, I would try to trace Dastoor, the Karachi man who played against W.G. Grace. I tried to trace Baroji Bala, who caught W.G. Grace in the Lord's match, because this was my interest. Eventually, I found out the grandson, this great Parsi batsman, Kastonji Dastoor, who topped batting average in 1886. So, his name was Perez Dastoor, the grandson. I met him in Karachi Jimkhana, and he came with a little souvenir in his hand, the grandson. He said, sir, you are from the BBC? I said, yes. He said, this is a present. He gave me the souvenir, and there was a man batting there named Manak Dastoor. I said, who is this? So he said, he is my father, and my grandfather was Dastoor, Kastonji. So I opened the souvenir. There was tribute for Manak Dastoor because his father, 1 week earlier, had played against England at Karachi Gymkhana, died in a motorcycle crash at Macro Road trying to save a Makrani pedestrian. Head injury and he died, and that was a souvenir for him. I asked Dres Dastoor, I said, do you remember your grandfather who played against W.G. Grace at Lord's in 1886? He said, I've heard about this, I don't know much about my grandfather. I only saw my father play. But the tragedy in my family is that we don't have my grandfather's picture anywhere in my family. This grandson told me, this Parsi. So I felt very happy listening to this. I said, don't worry, young man, I've got your grandfather's picture in my collection. And when you see me next time, you will have a group photo at Lord's of your grandfather and a portrait from me. So he saw me next week and I gave it to him. What he did, he was so excited, he went to Asharji Kausji, Arshidar Kausji, the great journalist. And he used to swear a lot. Hare ko bolte the sala, sala. This Dres Dastoor told me. He said, I went to Kausji with my granddad's picture. And I told him, look, this is my granddad with the bat sitting at Lord's. So Kausji said, where did you get this? So I said, Qamar Ahmed of BBC, who writes in Dawn newspaper. He said, who is this bloody Qamar Ahmed? I want to see him. How does he know so much about the Parsis? But before he died, I just couldn't see him. I never had a chance to meet that man.
आपको फिर वो मिलेंगे ना जब कैमरा कहेंगे साले तुम मिलने क्यों नहीं आए?
But I tell you what, Parsis had a great contribution to the game, making the pioneers of the game. And it is wonderful to be here at KPI, because I played a lot of first-class matches at KPI and the Parsi hospitality, because at lunchtime they used to serve us here Parsi food. Tonight you are going to have it as well after this program. So thank you for coming here, all of you. Wonderful to see you here, and thank you for having me.
Thank you. नहीं नहीं बिल्कुल, और अब इन्होंने पारसी डिनर का जिक्र कर दिया तो मुझे भी ज़रा क्रेविंग मेरी बढ़ गई है, तो हम जल्दी इसको निपटाते हैं. बस एक छोटी मुख्तसर सी बात अगर मैं कर लूँ. एक मुझे ज़रा पूछने की, मेरी वालदा ने मुझे ये वाक़या सुनाया था हनीफ मोहम्मद साहब के हवाले से कि इंडिया पाकिस्तान टीम ने दौरा किया था और लता मंगेशकर ने ख्वाहिश का इजहार किया था कि वो हनीफ मोहम्मद से मिलना चाहती हैं. कुछ इस वाक़े के बारे में, उस वक्त हनीफ साहब की शादी हो गई थी वैसे? अच्छा, अब मेरी अम्मी कहती है कि लता मंगेशकर का हनीफ मोहम्मद से प्यार हो गया.
हनीफ मोहम्मद
आवाज से प्यार.
उनकी बेगम सामने बैठी है, वेलकम टू.
वो अभी भी नाराज लग रही है इस बात पर.
I think she got married in 1960. Right. Okay.
वो तो 1960 tour जो 1960 tour.
Yeah, he went to, when Hanif went to India, Hanif told me, because I hosted Hanif's autobiography, playing for Pakistan. So Hanif told me that I was staying in CCI. He was staying in CCI, Cricket Club of India, very fantastic club of Bombay. So he said, I was listening to this splendid tape recorder. I was listening songs from Noor Jahan. And then suddenly there was a knock at the door. And he said, I was getting ready to play in the test match. I just had a shower and I was listening to Noor Jahan. So there was a knock at the door. I opened the door and there was this young lady standing there called Lata Mangeshkar. And she said, sir, I am Lata Mangeshkar. And I've come to see you. I've heard a lot about you. So Hanif told me that I was so excited. I said, please come in. So she came in and she heard Noor Jahan's song.
अच्छा, गानों की फरमाइश हुई थी?
नहीं, तो वो लता मंगेशकर told Hanif Mohammad.
अच्छा.
She is my mentor.
नूर जहां के बारे में.
नूर जहां के बारे में हनीफ मोहम्मद सर का. She was my mentor. I had great respect of him. Sir, I am so thrilled. She told Hanif Mohammad that I have come to see you. I have seen a wonderful person and I always heard about you and I have now seen you. Now I am absolutely happy about this.
But Qamar bhai, it made a big difference because 1967 May, when Hanif went to captain the Pakistani team and its tour of England, the by that time he switched from Noor Jahan to Lata.
फिर दरवाजे पे नॉक नूर जहां की तो नहीं हुई थी अगले टूर में लाहौर में? अच्छा, एक और ज़ाहिर है हनीफ साहब की हम जब लेगेसी की बात करते हैं, क्या ये दुरुस्त है कि हनीफ साहब could have played more cricket for Pakistan? डॉक्टर साहब की एक बड़ा एब्रप्ट एंड उनके करियर का हुआ था.
It's a very interesting question. Sadiq bhai will know more about this. जी. लेकिन Karda साहब, who was the chairman of the board at that time, Karda साहब pressurized Hanif, more or less insisted कि अगर आप रिटायर नहीं होंगे तो आपके भाई का करियर हो सकता है शायद इससे इन्फ्लुएंस हो जाए. And he persuaded Hanif could have played much longer than that. He was still an exceedingly fine opening batsman.
आप सादिक साहब कुछ ऐड करना चाहें अभी? The ending of his career, yeah.
Towards the end of his career, जब भी इनको बताया गया कि this is your last test match, so I think he was shocked about it because के वो जो last inning भी जो मेरे साथ खेले थे, उनकी last inning थी, मेरी पहली inning थी, तो लंच टाइम पे ये बात हुई थी कि इस तरीके के रिटायरमेंट अनाउंस करें, तो उन्होंने कहा कि नहीं, ऐसी कोई बात नहीं है, मैं आई एम स्टिल गुड इनफ. तो मगर वो ये था कि अब्दुल हफीज साहब, कादा साहब had already made his mind to not to play him in the second test match, so he wanted him to go out voluntarily, you know. So I think that was the very sad news for himself, because he was batting and he was not out in the first test match, batting with me at 35, you know, at 35, which is not a bad start in the first day of the test match. So, on a bad wicket, naturally, where from the very first ball, the wicket had busted out with sand and everything. And I tell you, not only me or Hanif bhai or all Pakistan batsmen in that particular inning or particular test match played, really showed great batsmanship on that bad wicket. And not only from Pakistan, but also from New Zealand, who batted so well on that pitch, and the match lasted for 4 days and it ended in a draw.
Right. So Shoaib, did he show regret on that thing? I mean, after his retirement, the forced retirement that we have talked about, घर में बात होती होगी and all, तो वो उसका regret तो show करते होंगे कभी ना कभी कि I could have played more cricket. Mike आपका शायद off है Shoaib अगर आप.
The first few days definitely he was, of course he was taken aback and it was not really mentally switched on, and he wasn't prepared for it actually. So the first, because there were lots of people coming in and wanted to inquire how it all happened and everything, but due to the immense respect for Mr. Kada, he didn't utter a word, or he didn't come out with it, or he could have, you know, blasted his mind off in the newspapers the next day or something of the sort. But due to the the way he had been, as everyone knows, and Dr. Saab ne bhi abhi jaise bataya, he was ab Karda Saab ne keh diya, so that's it. I have to, you know, say goodbye to cricket and won't say a word in the media. So that's how he had been, and he had been very quiet about it. After maybe after, I don't know, so many years probably he came out in, you know, he spoke his mind off in some interviews after long time.
अच्छा, मैं इत्तेफाक से जी कमर साहब आप कुछ ऐड करना चाहिए.
मुझे अभी याद आया कि मैं उनकी हनीफ भाई वाज अ वेरी पॉपुलर मैन पूरी दुनिया में एज ए पर्सन, एज ए क्रिकेटर. वो एक सुबह कराची में 9 बजे मेरा मोबाइल बजा और अदर एंड से एक शख्स ने मुझे कहा कि कमर साहब माफ़ कीजिएगा, शायद मैंने आपको सोते हुए उठा दिया है. तो मैंने उनसे कहा नहीं, मैं तो 6 बजे उठ जाता हूँ. तो कहने लगे, कमर साहब मेरा नाम नसीरुद्दीन शाह है, मैं बम्बई से बोलता हूँ. मैंने कहा द वन ऑन ओनली नसीरुद्दीन शाह। तो कहेंगे नहीं मैं तो बहुत ही छोटा सा एक आदमी हूँ। तो कहेंगे नहीं मैं वही नसीरुद्दीन शाह हूँ जो आप समझ रहे हैं। तो मैंने कहा सर आपने कैसे मुझे याद किया? चलेंगे एक कराची में मेरा दोस्त है, उससे मैंने आपका नंबर लिया है और एक मैं मुसीबत में फंस गया हूँ, तो ज़रा मेरी आप हेल्प कर दें इसमें। मैंने कहा जी फरमाइए। कहेंगे साहब वो मैं जब स्टूडेंट था मुंबई में तो मैंने हनीफ मोहम्मद को खेलते देखा टेस्ट मैच में। तो ये मैंने कहानी सुना दी भारत के जर्नलिस्टों को कि मैंने हनीफ मोहम्मद को खेलते देखा। अब नसीरुद्दीन शाह कह रहा है, वो कहने लगे ये लोग मेरे पीछे पड़ गए हैं कि मैं हनीफ मोहम्मद पे कुछ लिख दूँ। तो मैंने कहा और उन्होंने मुझसे कहा कि वो आपकी लिखी हुई किताब हनीफ मोहम्मद पे मेरे पास मेरे सामने है। तो मैंने कहा आप क्या जानना चाहते हैं हनीफ मोहम्मद के बारे में? कहने लगे मुझे ये बताइए कि जब वो रिटायर हो गए क्रिकेट से या PIA से हनीफ मोहम्मद साहब, तो उनकी एक्टिविटी क्या थी, वो क्या करते थे, किस तरह ज़िंदगी गुजारते थे, ये मुझे सिर्फ आप बता दें। तो मैंने कहा साहब नसीरुद्दीन शाह साहब आप अपना ईमेल दे दें मुझे, तो मैं आपको उसके बारे में बता देता हूँ कि पोस्ट रिटायरमेंट में वो क्या कर रहे थे। मैंने भेजा, मैंने उससे पूछा नहीं कि आप ये कहाँ लिखेंगे, लेकिन 1.5 साल के बाद मुझे पता पड़ा कि उन्होंने हनीफ मोहम्मद की जो ये स्टोरी थी वो क्रिकेट की जो बाइबल है विजडन आलमनक उस पर लिख दी थी। अमेजिंग स्टोरी एक फिल्म एक्टर ने हनीफ मोहम्मद पे लिखा हो। वो तो मैं कहता हूँ कि उनकी पॉपुलैरिटी इतनी तगड़ी थी।
Adil, इसके अंदर I wanted to add one thing. एक I was watching this interview by Nasiruddin Shah Sahab, और it was the backdrop of was Jahangir's tomb back in India, and there were a few people talking about India Pakistan, and so just out of the blue he came out with and said that during that time, because the distances were such and there weren't any cricket being played every now and then, and such things were happening because of the situation really. So he said Hanif Mohammad Sahab was the linking bridge between the two countries. That's what he said.
Amazing.
It's in the YouTube as well.
Amazing. अभी ये बात चली, ये जो कारदार साहब का जिक्र हुआ, मेरी खुशकिस्मती रही है। I had the good luck of interviewing Hanif साहब once at PTV. इत्तेफाक से शाहिदा शुएब मुझे अभी यहाँ नज़र आ रही हैं, वो पीछे खड़ी हुई हैं। She produced that program, और हनीफ साहब शाहिदा जब भी फ़ोन करती थी हनीफ साहब कभी मना नहीं करते थे, वो आ जाया करते थे। I was hosting that program, और मुझे याद है वो जो उन्होंने बात की कि कारदार साहब के लिए कितनी रिस्पेक्ट आखिर तक उनमें थी। मैंने बड़ी कोशिश की कि प्रोब करूँ इस चीज़ को। He did not even utter a single word against him. He was such a great man. क्योंकि मैं इसलिए जा रहा था because Dr. Faridi confirm कर सकते हैं, perhaps he was the first and to date the biggest casualty of politics in Pakistan cricket. ऐसा था सर?
Pakistan cricket has traditionally been a hotbed of politics, and it has had many casualties.
Yes.
I think the अगर आप पहले से देखें ना, I mean there have been I would have said कि हनीफ साहब के जो भाई थे रईस मोहम्मद, he was the first casualty. ठीक है, रईस एक Pakistan team was about to tour India in 1952, and there was a trial match in those days because very few first class matches were played. And in the trial match, Raiz was the best player. He scored 93 and took 4 wickets.
Right.
And everyone thought that his selection was going to be automatic. But he was not taken on tour, and who was taken was a 44-year-old leg spinner called Amir Elahi, who was well past his sell-by date. And Raiz was excluded. Then again, when India was touring Pakistan in 1954 in the Dhaka test, on the night before the test, Kardar came and told Raiz, go to sleep early because you're playing tomorrow. And Raiz woke up in the morning feeling at least my chance has now come, my turn has come. And somehow or the other, Maqsood, who was not available for that match, was flown over during the night, arrived in Dhaka in the morning, and straight from the airport was brought to the pitch and played instead of Raiz. So I think Raiz was the first casualty.
Great. Thank you so much for that. जी,
मैं बात करना चाहता हूँ कि ये 499 रन जब उन्होंने यहाँ पे किए, तो आज मैं थोड़ा सा इंटरनेट पे जाके मैं थोड़ा इंक्वायरी की, अपने मालूमात थोड़ी सी बढ़ाई। उसके अंदर बड़ा ताजुब से लगा, मुझे अजीब सा लगा कि 499 रन तो हनीफ मोहम्मद ने किए, उसमें 64 बाउंड्रीज मारी उन्होंने, कोई छक्का नहीं लगा। मगर 779 का टोटल हुआ, इसमें 7 विकेटें गिरी, जिसमें 200 ओवर्स बॉल हुए। इसका मतलब कि 1200 बॉलें प्लस फ्यू एक्स्ट्रास, तो 1200 बॉलें गिरी। और उसमें हनीफ मोहम्मद के अलावा किसी बैट्समैन ने, क्योंकि जो स्कोर कार्ड मैंने देखा तो आई वाज रियली सरप्राइज्ड एंड अमेज्ड कि हाउ कैन इट बी ट्रू, बट आई ट्राई टू वर्क आउट दैट स्कोर कार्ड कि उसमें लिखा था हनीफ मोहम्मद 499 बॉल कितने फेस किए वो नहीं बताया, मगर कितनी बाउंड्रीज मारी वो 64 थी और कोई छक्का नहीं था। मगर बाकी जितने भी प्लेयर थे नीचे आए, किसी ने 30 किए, किसी ने 40 किए, किसी ने 20-25 रन किए, वजीर भाई ने भी 31 रन किए उसमें, मगर किसी प्लेयर ने चौका नहीं मारा।
Must be a misprint, Sadiq.
That is,
has to be a misprint.
Has to be a misprint.
अच्छा, I think वो स्कोर कार्ड जो होगा ना उस जमाने में वो बाउंड्रीज वगैरह को नहीं कैलकुलेट
सिर्फ हनीफ मोहम्मद का ही बताया that maybe you may be right कि how can it be possible कि nobody else hit a 4 even
स्कोरिंग देखा हुआ आलम साहब ने।
वैसे शुएब कह रहे थे कि वो मोबाइल नहीं थे तो फैमिली साथ बैठ के एक दूसरे की शक्लें देखा करती थी, एक ज़माना था। लेकिन कभी कभार ये सोच के अफसोस भी होता है काश उस ज़माने में मोबाइल होता, उनकी इनिंग रिकॉर्ड हो जाती है, हम इसको देख सकते थे। तो पहले के बारे में कहा जाता है ना कि द ग्रेटेस्ट फुटबॉल दैट पहले हैड प्लेड नेवर गॉट रिकॉर्डेड ऑन टीवी बिकॉज उस ज़माने में कवरेज होती नहीं थी। लेकिन बहरहाल ये एक है सिलसिला और बहुत मज़ेदार गुफ्तगू रही, क्योंकि हम खाने का पहले जिक्र कर चुके थे, इसलिए अब मैं देख सकता हूँ कुछ लोग कुचक के वहाँ देख रहे हैं कि अभी तक खाना
कहना चाह रहा हूँ यहाँ पे कि wonderful evening, wonderful setup. Qamar, you've been the backbone of this today's evening. और जो आपने ट्रिब्यूट हनीफ भाई को हमारी फैमिली के लिए जो ये सब अरेंज किया, and well sponsored by LH LIAQUAT Hospital. Farid Saab was a great writer, and on behalf of my family, I just like to say thank you very much. और ये है कि जिस तरीके से KPI ने भी इस फंक्शन को मुनक्किद किया और उसको इतने अच्छी तरीके से यहाँ पे गैदरिंग हुई है, which I am really not surprised but I am really amazed and thankful to all the Parsis living in Pakistan, and was surprised, also surprised to know that in the first test match played for Pakistan was all Parsis, was it?
The first touring team from the Indo-Pak subcontinent, 1886 mein was all
consists of Parsis players.
And as I said, all rich Parsis.
So I think I'd like to thank you all very much for being here, giving us the respect shown to my family as Muhammad brothers. I'm really grateful. Thank you.
I also wanted to thank the managing committee, and especially starting off with the president Mavalvala Saab for having this occasion for the Little Master in honoring the 499 when he scored back in 1959. It is such a great honor and a very proud moment for us, the family and the whole of Pakistan really, that this kind gesture had taken place by yourself, sir. And of course, Qamar bhai, you had done a remarkable job. This is something absolutely out of the box, and I cannot thank you enough, sir. And Dr. Salman Saab for providing all the facilities which otherwise it wouldn't have been easily possible really. And especially all this for the great, the Little Master Hanif Mohammad Saab, whom when he passed away, the Great Britain flag was also half-mast, and perhaps he's the only Pakistani for whom they have done it so. And it's only done through Queen's consent. And God has been very, very kind. Our from the third generation also, my son is also here, Sheza. He's also among the world record holders by scoring double century in a first class match, like my father, myself, and Sheza also. So he's also present here at this KPI ground, which is something great. And it's a very proud moment. I thank you, sir. Thank you, Adil, for hosting it so beautifully.
It's an honor. It's an honor for me. And Qamar sir, kuch keh rahe hain? Homie? Acha, Homie, for the vote of thanks, may I request Mr. Homie Gadiana Saab, if you could come over, please. Gadiani Saab. All right, my apologies.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I've been given the honor of the vote of thanks. I would first like to thank God. Those few drops that came were a thank you from God to KPI for holding this function. That's what you can see the North Star, so don't worry, there won't be any rain tonight. Mr. Qamar Ahmed, thank you very much. Dr. Salman, you are, both of you gentlemen, like a mansalwa for us. This function would not have been this elaborate. And my president, Mr. Mavalvala, a cricketer who I am entirely obliged for having this function. I've been wanting to have this function ever since that plaque was put up, which was also, I was involved in that. And ever since then, I wanted to have the 499 function. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Won't keep you waiting for the lovely dinner awaiting you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Homie साहब. वैसे एक बहुत important जो जिनका जिक्र भी हुआ यहाँ पे. If we can bring the camera here as well so that we can show her on the screen as well. Mrs. Hanif Mohammad साहब is sitting here. अरे आपके बेटे ने मुझे भेजा है, मेरी मम्मा की बात तो करनी पड़ेगी, लेकिन फिर भी थोड़ा अपने कुछ ख्यालात एहसासात कुछ बता दीजिए.
शुक्रिया आप लोगों का इनवाइट करने का और सब इतना ऑनर देने का, जो लोगों ने किया उनको
बहुत शुक्रिया, आप भी तशरीफ लाई. थैंक यू सो मच एंड थैंक यू सो मच लेडीज एंड जेंटलमैन. आई थिंक इट वाज अ वंडरफुल इवेंट. बहुत मजा आया, बहुत कुछ सीखने का मौका मिला इस बहुत ही हिस्टोरिकल जगह पे. The food is ready. There are souvenirs available there for sale as well. You can purchase them at a very nominal price. मैं तो कमर भाई को बोला था इतना सस्ता बेच रहे हैं आप, लेकिन खैर anyway. So if you wish to purchase, they are there at the dinner area. So may we all proceed towards the dinner. And thank you so much for being a wonderful audience. Goodbye. God bless.